Hello, I'm James Bohr of Bohr's, and I'm doing these sort of personal challenges, both to get some hopefully useful information out there and to give myself some practice presenting. So the idea of these is that I do the whole thing in no more than 60 minutes, with the core of it being a 60-second explanation of some sort of core concept. Last time I did threat modeling, and this time we're going to talk about risk appetite. So what is a risk appetite and why you should know yours? First of all, we have to define what a risk is. Now, the way that I use it, a risk is a combination of a threat, something fully outside of your control, a vulnerability, that is a gap in your controls somewhere, and an impact. You have to have those three or you don't have a risk. Now, what is risk appetite? Well, it's much like real appetite. It is the amount of risk, the amount of uncertainty that you are willing to accept within the business, within your organization. So that might be too much, in which case your rocket blows up after landing. It might be too little, in which case you don't have enough to live on, because risk is much like, or it's strongly correlated with change, it's correlated with doing things. So if you don't accept any risk, you will end up not doing anything. It has to be defined from the top of the organization because it is a measure for the business as a whole, and it always has to be situational. It will depend on your industry, it will depend on the life cycle of your company, where you are, what you're doing at any time. And you use it to inform yourselves about which gaps you can accept and which ones you have to put resources into closing down. It really is that simple. Now, we're outside the 60 seconds, so I can go on a bit more, but if you've not got a risk appetite in your organization, the first thing to do is to start that conversation with preferably senior management, but at least get it started somewhere. Talk about how much risk the organization is willing to accept. The second thing is that risk appetite is very much not static. It is a very changeable thing. It will change depending on individual projects. It will change depending on economics outside of the company. You have to keep reviewing it. You have to keep making sure that you're within it and that you understand what risks you're taking, what you're putting on the plate. And finally, you cannot tell the organization what its risk appetite is unless you own it. You have to listen and get an idea from the top, if you're a security professional, from the wider business as to what the risk appetite is. So it's much more about questioning and understanding than it is informing. Finally, as always, thanks to Unsplash and these people from Unsplash for letting me use their footage. And that's it.